Now
The
it's
weekly
we
show. Well,
yeah, it gives you a little countdown guy. That's when you know it's live. Now we're live.
I'm
Live
always
on, most importantly, Rumble, but also YouTube, Facebook, and the X. Yes, the X. We've been live on the X, Ryan. Come on, don't act so surprised. Are you ready for what we got in store today, Ryan?
you have a Wiener Dog Bills shirt on.
Yeah, it's amazing. Great.
I'm proud of you.
Here's what we got, Ryan. Here's what we got. Airbnb. There's an exclusive leaked email that could predict some potential future lockdowns, which
Is
may surprise you. It may
is
surprise
Epstein Island on Airbnb?
you. It probably is. It was for sale recently. We're going to talk about anti-Semitism monitors. I hope you're. We don't want to be watched, Ryan. So be careful what you say about Ben Shapiro. Uh, Kristi Noem. Kristi Noem's all over the X right now and all the other news. She's being accused of being a puppy killer. Puppy killer. Ryan. Seems a little harsh. Yeah, we're gonna talk about puppies. Why they don't want you to eat eggs, Ryan? Don't eat eggs, but partake in all of the nano and microplastics in the other food.
I'm sure the
And
bugs will be fine, David. The
no,
bugs
no micro.
will do
No,
fine.
there's no microplastics in bugs. You'll be fine.
Don't eat
Also,
the bugs that the chickens eat, and then eat the chicken for the protein. Just eat the bugs.
lastly, Bill Barr talking about Trump potentially calling for the execution of people. Don't know if I buy it.
The same guy that that was Robert Downey Jr. Robert De Niro that thought they were gonna come for him.
Oh
Trump,
yes, that was Robert De Niro. Most certainly not Bill Barr.
not
Ryan,
that
what do you want to start with here?
Airbnb.
You want to start with the Airbnb? You're going right for the Airbnb. You're not even saving it for later.
Oh, is it good?
It's
Then we
great.
definitely do it first.
Uh, Airbnb is expecting a large-scale government action and lockdown to begin on June 6, 2024, according to a newly obtained email. The email is basically sending out an alert that there is a revision to the major disruptive events policy. It says what's changing in the policy. Foreseeable weather events at the reservation's location are explicitly eligible for coverage if they result in another covered event, such as a government travel restriction on or a large scale utility outage. The policy will only apply to events in the place where the reservation is located. Events that impact a guest's ability to travel to the reservation are not covered. And it says this will continue or begin on June 6, 2024. So they're expecting some. It specifically says for foreseeable weather events, a government lockdown. So I
Like
don't
an
know.
eclipse, David, a solar eclipse.
Well,
Can't leave the house.
that's certainly not going to happen again. But potentially, I don't know, Ryan. What do you think a foreseeable weather event would be? I know in Nebraska recently, and I can't imagine there's more than one Airbnb in Nebraska. Was it
Forest fire.
Nebraska? Very large tornado, which they blamed on climate change, of course.
The forest fire.
Was there a forest fire in
Yeah, I mean,
Nebraska?
well, Canada has forest fires. Surely Nebraska has forest fires at some point, David.
Well, everyone has forest
The
fires.
climate's heating up, David. Everywhere has forest fires.
I don't know. This is the conspiracy guy in me. But when we read articles about them creating geoengineering brighter clouds to reflect the sun, and then we're reading Airbnb policies that potentially they are going to, due to weather shutdowns, you can. I don't know. It's what could it be? I mean, surely they can't change the weather, right?
People can't, David, but we've made machines that can.
Hmm.
Most famous, the one in Anchorage, Alaska, called the HAARP, HAARP, High Altitude Aurora Research Facility or something.
And it changes the weather.
Well, it doesn't change the weather, David. It just zaps a high frequency wave of energy high in the jet stream of the planet that can alter the height of the jet stream, David. So some would say that it's not a weather modification. It's not like cloudy with a chance of meatballs that they just select rain and it makes it rain, but it does alter the jet stream current going over Alaska, which for people in Buffalo know that it's basically where we get all our weather from. Is from not quite Alaska, obviously it's on the other side of the continent, but that same stream comes down and it dips along the Great Lakes, which is why we get the northwestern wind. So
I had to look this up because I'll be honest, I never heard of this.
yeah, is and I'm just bullshit. Clearly all bullshit, David. I have no photographic memory.
The the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program,
Pretty close.
HARP redirects, is a University of Alaska Fairbanks program which
It's now a
researches
University of Alaska. Yeah, yeah. I would love to know when they bought that because it wasn't always.
researches the ionosphere, the highest ionized parts of Earth's atmosphere. The most prominent instrument at HARP is the Ionospheric Research Instrument, the IRI, a high power radio frequency transmitter facility operating in the high frequency band. The IRI is used to temporarily excite a limited area of the ionosphere. Other instruments such as VHF and UHF radar, a flux gate magnometer, a digisond. I have no idea what the fuck that is.
Well, it's clearly a flux capacitor, Dave. It's all a conspiracy.
Induction magnetometer are used to study physical processes that occur in the excited region. Hmm.
They just excite the weather.
Ah,
Well,
initially, it was funded by the Air Force and the Navy, and the Defense DARPA Defense Advanced Research Project. It's weird the military wants to use all of this information and technology.
oh, you mean like a weather weapon, David?
Weird, weird. But I suppose to go back to the Airbnb thing, though. Um, yeah, what information would they have that we don't have? Because certainly we don't foresee any major weather events that could lead to such events. I mean, do you know of anything that could be coming down the pipeline here?
I don't know. Unless there's another solar eclipse coming, I got to buy extra toilet paper.
I feel like it'd be more major news.
Well, they obviously can't predict the weather, David. It's not like they have a giant laser beam from space that can cause forest fires in Hawaii.
Well, they do. Again, I keep going back to the geoengineering.
Can you connect my earbuds? Yeah, like that's really kind of the shame that people have been asleep for so long with like the weather modification stuff. You know, it's not even cloud seeding. You know what I mean? Like it's beyond cloud seeding. Because it's I was just thinking, I forget what actual thing I was thinking about that was military involvement, but it was while listening to the Tucker Joe Rogan podcast this week. But people think that they make these institutions for the good of humanity. You know, like the nuclear project Rogan and everybody talk about. And the military does not care if people die. It's called collateral damage. And if the military could develop a weapon that could zap ionic sphere particles and excite them, imagine what. I mean, I heard the conspiracy about weather as a weapon during Vietnam. They thought about using if they could like make a typhoon or a tsunami or something. That it would be a great benefit because then they wouldn't have to waste resources and manpower and utilization of troops
Oh, for
and
like population control.
yeah, you know, and I know we cover very far out there topics sometimes, David, but like, you know, we come on here and we show you guys like when China wanted to make a fake artificial moon to light up the sky. Russia has a nuclear simulator.
Yeah,
They
there's
used
a
to,
place that developed a black hole too. Is that I could be wrong about this, but I feel like there's
yeah,
an artificial black hole that was developed.
yeah. I mean, and then they have the CERN machine, the particle accelerator in France or whatever, Switzerland. That's where they contest like the very beginnings and that very very early essence. So to round it all back, like a lot of the problem with the chemtrail thing that people got away from was when they said that there's chemicals in the air. And if you listen, if you go apparently to the people that do the research, they found the chemicals in the water tables, which is how they could tell that this has been a thing added to our atmosphere. This isn't something naturally occurring. They've looked at the water tables currently and compared them over past decades, and you can watch the glyphosates and you can watch the gay frog chemical altering shit. You can watch it. Black hole in a lab. They could finally prove Hawking radiation. Fuck Stephen Hawking.
Yeah, they've created. They're not. I guess if you were to read down this whole thing, it would probably explain it more. It's not technically a true black hole, but it's an artificial black hole that proves the
Yeah,
theory of black holes.
the point, real David, to your point, is just like we can all. I mean, I'm an electrician. Like the idea of electricity is gnarly. Like that in itself is a natural
It's
phenomenon force that we have harnessed as humans with a ball of copper.
well, it's
That-
witchcraft, is what it is.
yeah, it's just a ball of copper that we spin really fast with magnets, and we generate a static that we can send down a wire so I can plug my phone in. That's like we understand metaphysics. Like we're jacking with a lot of stuff. And if they have all those intricate devices, Dave, that you could barely say, those are highly sophisticated pieces of technology that measure things at a precise level. So they didn't make them for no reason. So if this whole thing is a conspiracy, if weather modification is just simply a conspiracy, why do we have such highly sophisticated measurable equipment for stuff that wouldn't be even relevant? There's patents about putting things in, like being able to spray particles as an an aerosolized particle with fuel mixtures. Now, granted, this could be for like spraying fields for toxins and stuff, but this is all the same. The whole point is like they've always possessed the ability to some degree to manipulate the weather in some capacity. And that could be just adding clouds, right? It doesn't have to be, once again, it's not like they go there, they shake a magic ball and say, today is going to be sunny, and they make it sunny. I mean, for all I know, they do have that type of ability, but at least I would think, conspiracy cast here. But the point, yeah, imagine being able to say that you could alter things with a climate crisis if you could also create a climate crisis. And to be honest, let's be honest here. Ever since the pandemic, everybody loosened their restrictions on what a crisis is. And not to mention, people are in crisis because of the cost of everything and mental problems. But like,
Well, we talked about the World Health Organization, how they can just declare states of emergency.
yes, which we know why they declare the states of emergency. For people who don't, I mean, we're in the space, but they declare states of emergency so that they can collapse democracy and get unilateral funding instantly, so that they don't gotta go to the all people in all the counties and get votes. Now, I'm not saying it's tyrannical. It's tyrannical in nature, but it could be very well necessary if there's a flood or we get blizzards in Buffalo. Do I like polling cars having all the executive authority? But you know, um, we definitely could handle it better. But the idea is, yeah, if we could just basically paint the clouds whatever, we can make bright beautiful clouds to reflect the particles. Bill Gates wants to spray silver in the sky to reflect the sun's rays. We can make artificial black holes. We can alter the ionosphere, the highest point in the atmosphere, with excited particles from basically a radio antenna. And it would be foolish to think that they can't do something to the environment. I mean, what's the main premise of climate change is that the humans mess with the environment to a level that is causing it to heat up by 2 degrees Celsius, which will melt everything. Well, if you're saying me driving, all of us doing all this stuff is doing that, why wouldn't we think that you, with just the current stuff that we have that you can prove, you obviously can do something to the weather?
Well, that's why I always thought it was interesting that people deemed chemtrails were conspiracies, because just like you said, the premise is that humans can affect weather. So, like, you can't have it both ways. You can't tell
Well, they
everyone humans can affect weather and then say, "Well, we can't affect weather."
Yeah, and like I said, the real conspiracy with chemtrails is that it's on purpose to poison you, which we obviously know they would never do that, David. They love us. It's not like there's turbo cancer in 30-year-olds and myocarditis from the not vaccine.
Well, it's I suppose no better time than now. But since you brought that up, uh,
This came to me in my feed. We have covered forever chemicals in here. We have covered microplastics here on this very program for years now. At this point, we have seen Neil deGrasse Tyrant come out and say you don't need to worry about parts per million of microplastics. In this article, I took a screenshot of every page that I could on my phone because it's
well, just
just
like
keep
you don't need to worry about the Y chromosome disappearing because it's happening really slowly over time, Ryan. So it's not a big
yeah,
deal.
yeah, 10 years, really slow over 10 years, Dave.
Kind of, kind of sounds like climate change that everyone's super worried about, though. That seems to be happening very slowly over time. Uh, which foods have the most plastics? You may be surprised. Um, without spoiling it for everyone, it seems like from the screenshot you sent me, all of the foods have plastics.
Oh, they cover protein in here, David. That was my favorite.
90%. That sounds like a high number. 9 out of 10 apples to go to Ryan math. 90% of animal and vegetable protein samples tested positive for microplastics, teeny polymer fragments that can range from less than zero point 0.2 inches, 5 millimeters, down to 1/25,000th of an inch, 1 micrometer. According to a February 2024 study, anything smaller than that is a nanoplastic, and it has to be measured. Whoa, CNN's advertising while I'm on CNN. Must be measured in a billionth of a meter. Hmm. Interesting. Even I will say it's the good news is that they're not just
Am I
poisoning
back? Can
meat
you hear me?
eaters. Yeah, yeah, you're here. They're not just poisoning meat eaters; they're also poisoning vegetarians. So I guess that's okay. It says even vegetarians can't escape, according to a 2021 study. The plastic is small enough; fruits and vegetables can absorb microplastics through their root system and transfer the chemicals.
It's really amazing that here I am focusing on microplastics, David, when there is something called a nanoplastic. So I have missed a complete classification of poison that is in our food and water supply here, apparently. So it's bad enough to get microplastic, but now we have nanoplastic. And now, probably because they can classify it as a separate thing, you're not going to hear about, oh my God. That's all I got to think about now. When I see microplastic, it's like, what about the nanoplastic you're not telling me about? This is not healthy. I'm not a healthy
Well, it
society
says it
civilian
says
here.
90% of animal and vegetable proteins tested positive for microplastics, but it says nothing about how many have at least a nanoplastic. Which, I mean, does that mean that 100% of our food has some kind of plastic in it?
Yeah, good point. If it's smaller and needs a different measurement, right? If we're
Mhm.
just measuring microplastic because of a size, Lord.
Salt can also be packed with plastic. Coarse
Plastic
Himalayan pink
salt.
salt mined from the ground had the most microplastics, followed by black salt and marine salt. Sugar is also an important root of human exposure to these micro pollutants. Tea bags, rice, bottled water.
Bottled water. Oh, so don't drink out the tap, David, is what you're telling me.
Well, the tap has lead, the bottles have plastic. So what do you want?
Yeah, and also hormones in the water in the tap. Dangerous to human health, David. Surely there's zero dangers by ingesting parts per million, just millions of times in your life. I'm
Well,
sure
you
it's
can't
fine.
just make that claim without scientific background, Ryan. So let's
Well,
see.
I'm
Let's
sure if we go to the scientists, like the most vocal, popular scientists, like I don't know Neil deGrasse Tyson, he would probably tell me, David, that it's probably fine, right? I would assume.
let's trust the science, Ryan.
Let's trust this.
Uh, while microplastics have been found in the human lung, maternal and fetal placental tissues, human breast milk, and human blood,
So everything,
until that covers just about all of it, doesn't it?
the entire human genome now has plastic in it. Great.
Yeah. Certain states have way more plastic.
Well,
Um,
that's it. I'm sure Florida has.
until recently, there was very little research on how these polymers affected the body's organs and functions. A March
Interesting.
2024 study found people with microplastics or nanoplastics in their arteries in the neck were twice as likely to have a heart attack, stroke, or die from any cause over the next 3 years.
Just twice as Just
I wonder,
twice,
Ryan,
Dave.
if there's nano and microplastics in all of our food, I wonder if there's any form of plastics in a injection or a vaccine.
Well, Dave, clearly it's made of glass. You know,
Twice, just so we're clear, they were twice as likely to have a heart attack, a stroke, or die from any cause.
just from in the neck.
Uh, oh, speaking of nanoplastics, are the most worrisome type of plastic pollution for human health
Really, why is that, David?
because
I'm very curious.
the minuscule particles can invade individual cells and tissues in major organs, potentially interrupting cellular processes and depositing endocrine disrupting chemicals such as bisphenols, phosphates, flame retardants. Oh, we could be flame retardant, right?
Ooh, Human Torch, flame on, David.
Uh, Polyfluorinated substances or PFAS, forever chemicals, and
Mm.
heavy metals. All of those chemicals used in the manufacturing of plastic. So if plastic makes its way into us, it's carrying those chemicals with it.
Yeah,
And that
so Neil
came
deGrasse
from
Tyson
Sherry
is a
Sam
fucking.
Mason, the director of sustainability at Penn State Barron in Erie.
So Neil deGrasse Tyson is a retard, is what you're telling me.
Well, it's in such small portions, Ryan. Oh, wait, wait,
Just
that
twice
was
as
just
likely to die of a heart attack
yeah,
of. The-
people with. It doesn't say with very small amounts. It just says study with people with micro or nanoplastics were twice as likely. So it sounds like any amount.
It's only
There
parts per
currently
million,
is
David.
no
What's there to
science.
worry about?
Oh, good Jesus Christ! There currently is no scientific consensus on the potential health impacts of nano and microparticles. Therefore, media reports based on assumptions and conjecture do nothing more than unnecessarily scare the public.
Oh, don't be scared about the
Oh,
estrogen block.
hold on. Ignore the scientist up here, right? The director of sustainability at Penn Bradford. Ignore this person. But
But
please do pay attention when the spokesperson for the International Bottled Water Association tells you that don't worry about all the plastic we're poisoning you with. Sometimes the source matters.
well, the source of water matters, David. It clear.
Jesus Christ. Oh, no, no, no,
I don't
nanoplastics
want to
don't
scare him.
matter, says the guy
That's
giving you
disinformation.
nanoplastics. Holy fuck.
The guy telling me nanoplastics is telling me to not worry about nanoplastics.
Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
gotcha. Nothing wrong here.
Plastics are everywhere. There's a staggering number of plastics in the world today, according to a recent analysis. 16,000 plastic chemicals, with at least 4,200 of those considered to be highly hazardous to human health and the environment. As these chemicals break down in the environment, they can turn into microplastics and then nanoplastics, particles so small, science struggled for decades to see them.
Dude, that's more microplastics than the periodic table of elements.
Prior research using old technology identified only about 300 nanoplastics in bottled water.
Oh,
Along with some only 300, along with some bigger, but don't worry, the bottled water guy says it's fine.
at least it's not 400 different
Speaking
types.
of Ryan, I'm
Yeah, I'm thirsty.
thirsty.
Where's my estrogen water here?
Oh, yeah, the nanoplastics are really what gives it the good flavor.
That aftertaste.
Jesus Christ. Uh, they have some tips at the at the very bottom, they have some tips. Try
Oh,
to
how can we
avoid
avoid it if they're everywhere, David? Clearly,
well, just try
clearly
to
we'll be
avoid it. Try to avoid
wear a
eating
mask.
anything that has been
Wear
stored
a
in a plastic
mask.
container. Look for food stored in glass, enamel, or foil. Wear clothing made from natural fabrics. Oh, that sounds like
Sounds
a
expensive.
conspiracy that we've talked about on this program. Don't microwave in plastic. Instead, heat the food on the stove or by microwaving it in glass. If you can, eat as much fresh food as possible. So basically, don't eat all the prepackaged bullshit. Buy a cow, kill it, slaughter it, and then eat their meat fresh. You'll be
What if
fine.
I what if I can't afford it, David?
What do you mean you can't afford a cow? They're cheap.
Then again, if the economy is doing bad, it's my fault. It's my fault that
Cows
I'm
are
poor.
like cows are like a few $1,000s. You can't afford a cow.
You only got to buy it all at once, David. You just need $3,000 today.
That is absurd.
Oh, what can you do to eliminate microplastics? I don't know. Be rich. Just
Well, Ryan, since we're talking about
yo, I told you guys about the recycled clothing a year ago, and here we are, CNN. Yeah, just go buy the $300 naturally Egyptian cotton sewn shirts from fucking Fenty.
yeah, that's right. Ryan, since we're talking about foods that kill you, here's something just not worth believing. Uh, eating 2.5 eggs per week increases a risk of prostate cancer by 81%. Now, the source is the Harvard School of Public Health study from 1994 to 2008.
Did they look at the microplastics, Shirley, David?
Well, Ryan, how can there be microplastics in the eggs? From chicken feed? So does it like cycle through?
Dude, it's in the salt. Well,
Hmm,
I'm sorry. Maybe there's no microplastics in the egg. There might be nanoplastics, David. I
I don't
mean,
believe it.
if we're finding plastic in the fetal tissue of women, like literally your kid is growing with plastic inside its body. You know how fucking crazy that is? Like literally. There's molecules in our body. I swallowed gum. Whoa, swallowing gum. You hear that? Already plastic.
There's probably nanoplastics in there.
Nanoplastic in the gum. Our kids are growing with plastic inside of them.
Ryan, do you know how?
I don't believe any of this shit.
Yeah, that's right.
If they find it in my throat, I have two. Look, I'm not a scientist, Mr. Neil deGrasse Tyrant, but we've been eating eggs as a species longer than we've had microplastics. Like it doesn't make sense. The idea. I'm not a nutritionist, but this is nutrition advice. Eat a high protein diet. That's all there is to it. It's literally I feel amazing. People are amazing, and it's the building block of all cells. And if you look at the guidelines by the NCAA or whatever high government organization that wants you weak and tired, they say to eat, I think it's 0.08 grams of protein per body mass, and it's actually low. It's like 50% under what you need, like at least 1.4 grams. So everybody should be eating like 200 grams of protein a day, which if you eat eggs, David, is like a dozen eggs, which sounds like a lot of food, but it's really not when you eat thousands of calories of empty bullshit in a Whopper. So
I could eat a dozen eggs in a day, easy.
my little health my little soapbox here to round this out. There is no link between eggs and bad health. It's never been established, and it's bullshit. The reason they have to demonize the egg is it doesn't even make sense calorically how much nutrition and omega-3s and fatty acids and complex carbohydrates. The egg itself is like a fucking walking amino acid. And the idea that chickens make one every day, and like a chicken literally just eats bugs and can make eggs by eating bugs and grass and sticks and crap and still make an egg that has 6 to 8 grams of protein per serving, 200 something like, dude, the egg is like a miracle food.
So we've
It's
established that we all need to buy a cow and we all need to buy chickens.
chickens, cows, and bees.
Mm.
They actually tell you when you look into homesteading to get goats instead of cows.
Goats instead of cows. Why is that?
They're smaller, so they require less food to maintain, and they're easier because they're not as big. You can still eat them. You can still get the milk, and then they also there's something when you rotate the plots. Homesteading, like the idea of homesteading is let's say you only have 2 acres, so you got to be able to continuously plant all year round. So you have to rotate your stock, and you'll always be moving like the pens of the animals so that they're basically eating different grass. You grit the grass and then you eat. I very loosely understand this. I'm very ignorant to this, but farmers are not dumb people. And they literally zone their grass to allow their cows to eat it in a certain order so that it can grow a certain way and self-fertilize or whatever. But yeah,
I
that's
have
what we're
one.
talking.
I have one problem with the goats instead of the cows, Ryan.
But they don't taste as good.
Yeah, I've never wanted a goat steak.
Yeah. Obviously, the cow's a European thing, David. Not the Eastern Europeans with the Russians, clearly, but
Well, the Japanese have the best cows.
They do. What's the meat called? I know. Not a sea.
Wagyu.
Wagyu. There it is.
Yeah.
Seagu. What was the name I made up last week? That was brilliant.
It was it was Randy Brandishino, I think.
Randy Brandishino Cherry Company. Nah, cherries are fine. There's no nanoplastics in the cherries.
I just want everyone to understand what we're establishing so far. We want everyone to know that you should buy cows, buy chickens, have bees, don't eat microplastics in your food.
Make your own clothes from fucking naturally grown hemp.
You can wear a lot of leather if you have cows.
Leather underwear. Assless chaps, David, all the time.
I will make you a tool belt, Ryan.
Only a tool belt, David.
Holy fuck. All right. I just figured the eggs thing was a good. And you said a little while back, whatever you feel like the globalists are telling you, just do the opposite.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. You know what's funny is my
eat
dad is
eggs.
gonna be. Yeah, my dad is on his way over here with like 3 dozen eggs for me. So like,
Does he
fuck
have
this
chickens?
motherfucker. No, my grandmother got them probably from some freaking swab meat in East Palestine or wherever they go.
Don't eat them from East Palestine.
What? It's not like there was a train derailment there, David.
There was.
Well, surely bridges don't collapse there as often as they do in other places of the world, David. Yeah, it's
I
funny
figure
that Airbnb thing referenced like data power outages or something, utility outages. You know, like when AT&T's entire cell phone system was down.
from the software update.
Yeah, that did it. Nobody, no, only 7,000 customers. Hey, a third of all AT&T customers' data was leaked to AI Chinese spawn bots. Sorry.
Ryan, I suspect we should at least mention it. I'm not super. I don't know if I should say this. I feel like we should lie if this is the case. I'm not super interested in this story.
Whoa. Makes me
but
more interested, David.
But you have to talk about it. Kristi Noem, who is a Trump VP frontrunner, or at least.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So she writes in her book that was released. She writes about killing a puppy and a goat, and people are all over. And listen, I'm team puppy. Don't get me wrong. But it's not quite as outrageous as they try to make it sound in the headlines. She didn't just like walk up to a puppy and like snap its neck and then walk away laughing.
Is it like where the red fern grows or something?
It was listen. She had a puppy. It wasn't good. It apparently attacked a couple chickens on the farm and a human. They wasn't training out quite right, so she killed it. A little harsh, but that's what that's kind of shit that happens.
Are they upset that a man didn't do it, David, and a female did it?
You know what's interesting, Ryan?
What, David?
Her response is to post the headline, a screenshot of the headline. This is from her X account. She posts the headline and then she links it to her book.
Want to get the truth about this headline? Go buy my book.
If you want more real, honest, and politically incorrect stories, buy my book here at this link.
I like this.
Listen,
I'm team VP on this girl. I like her more.
Listen, there's one reason I'm not team puppy. Check this out.
Is she hot?
Yeah, super hot.
Oh, let's go.
That's what I'm saying. Like
Trump is so smart, dude. No wonder he's a billionaire. Well, I mean, clearly, David, all idiots become billionaires in their lifetime. You know, they just
he knows the people don't want Pence.
You know, imagine having the hottest wife in the history of presidents. Like,
oh yeah, but I do gotta say it's a fairly low bar.
Well, young Hillary was kind of hot, dude. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
have we talked about this, right? We've been here.
Yeah.
Wasn't
bad.
Like, look, Hillary is great until she started talking about that Marxist shit at dinner. Now I'm in a scene in Oppenheimer.
Hey, there he is. What up, Chicken Man?
Dad, you brought those the prostate cancer things, right?
Paper mache Jesus.
80% increase of prostate cancer if you eat calorically eggs. I swear to God, Dad. The World Health.
Did he say it? Did he see that?
Prostate cancer?
Not coming.
Exactly. 60%.
Yeah, see, I told that guy. It's definitely not the microplastics in your butthole from shitting out all the microplastics you've been eating your whole life.
That's okay.
I'm sure my colon's got nothing to do with that, dude.
There's also
Oh, I forgot my daughter was in here. Listen to me.
there's also an increase in
Child abuse live on YouTube.
colorectal cancer because of
All right, the fucking studio is supposed to be sacred. This is unbelievable. Come on, vamonos.
I don't know if you'll like these or not.
Close the door, please.
But these are from your great grandmother.
See, the one thing about being live is I can't edit that out. That's the kind of shit that happens sometimes. Be back. Ryan, listen up.
Showbiz, dude, I swear.
Yeah, so Kristi Noem, I don't know.
Hot dog killer.
Listen, I think they're making a little too much of it, but admittedly, if you're running for any form of office and you're writing a book, leave the part where you killed the dog out of it, because the average person isn't ready for that kind of thing.
I don't know, David. I'm kind of torn on this.
It's tough. It is tough.
It's dark.
Because quite frankly, listen, it's no secret, man. A dog bites a person, they get put down. It's kind of the shit that happens. The thing is, depending where you're from, you take the dog to a vet or a place, and they'll inject the dog and put them down humanely or whatever. And some places you shoot them between the eyes. It is what it is. I'm just saying, there's different types of people in the world.
I don't know. It's kind of interesting. These people are bent out of shape about her killing a dog, but the people have ideologies that allow them to murder children. But they're probably just trying to kill the microplastics. So I get, the fetus was collateral damage, David.
I don't know. Here's another thing they're making a big deal out of, and I gotta say this. It seems like it's another thing that they're making too big a deal out, but I do want to see your reaction to it. This is Bill Barr. He was on CNN with this chick. I think this was the girl who did the town hall. Am I right? That's
Looks like
terrible,
a man. That is a man.
That is a horrible time to stop the screen.
God.
Can I get a better face?
But
a little better?
It's a man.
Tiny bit better? Oh, you can't get a good screen grab of her.
It was Trump's communication.
So that's testosterone blocking the feed, David.
God damn. I guess that's the best we're getting. Thanks, CNN. Yeah, I think she's the one who did the town hall. Trump called her a nasty woman. But here's her interviewing Bill Barr, and Bill Barr seems to indicate that Trump may have called for the execution of people. I don't know. Well, just watch.
But Alyssa Farah Griffin, who was Trump's communications director, posted yesterday and said that you were present at a moment when Trump suggested executing the person who leaked information that he went to the White House bunker when those George Floyd protests were happening outside the White House. Do you remember that?
I remember him being very mad about that. I actually don't remember him saying executing, but I wouldn't dispute it. I mean, it doesn't sound. The president would lose his temper and say things like that. I doubt he would have actually carried it out. I don't.
But he would say that on other occasions. You said
the president. The president had a. I think people sometimes took him too literally, and he would say things like similar to that in occasions to blow off steam.
This seems like there's a little bit more, but there's really nothing there. This seems like the biggest nothing burger I've seen all year. Like, they're really trying to blow this up into something. And Bill Barr is like, yeah, he'd say stuff, but there's no way he'd do anything. And they're like, did say he'd execute people? And he's like, not really. He just loses temper sometimes.
We're mad about that, but Joe Biden said there's going to be a long, cold death winter of the unvaccinated in America, and that was fine.
Yeah, he did say that.
Or telling black people they're not black if they don't vote for him. That's fine.
Where was yeah?
How come I'm hearing about the execution thing now? The guy was president 3 years ago.
Well, it is.
Dude, just nobody realized this. This is what's crazy. Remember when they said he was racist, and then they showed all the video clips of all the black people endorsing? Like, I just don't. Is no one paying attention?
Yeah, that's right.
I think it's only going to take like one person. If I got to drive down to Washington, David, I will go again. You know, I mean, I'll go down there and talk to Biden real nice.
It was
I'll
an
show up in my
experience.
heart. Yeah. I'll show up in my hard hat and just tell him I got to do electrical work in the president's bedroom.
Ryan, did you see? Trying to find it, but I thought I had it. Did you see that the man who filmed the Ashley Babbitt killing got 6 years in prison?
I don't even know
It's
who
on-
that is. I don't know.
That was on January 6th. The one person who died on January 6th. It was Ashley Babbitt. She
So
was
the guy who filmed it got 6 years in jail.
Yeah.
For what? Killing her?
For filming it. No, it was the Capitol police officer was the one who killed her. He just filmed it.
Okay, so let me get this straight.
Yeah.
So if I go down there after I think
Sure.
the election was stolen, which it was, and I ask them very nicely, like Kevin always told me to just ask nicely, and I go
Yeah.
there and I ask nicely, and then I get killed by the police officer that's there to swore to protect me, even though I
That's
was
right.
mostly peacefully assembling inside the Capitol building that they let me inside.
You mean the one that is public property because it's paid for by the taxpayers?
Well, not really paid for. It was built and paid for 100 years ago. Why are we still paying for a building? This is ridiculous.
Well, you got to pay property tax, right?
How property tax to the government, David? The government pays property tax. That's the other thing. People really actually think like the government is like a thing. Like, oh, the government. Like, what do you talk? Like, what do you actually mean? Where's the surplus of government money go? I always said this about the bottle returns. What if no one's taking back the bottles and cans that the nickel? Where's that nickel go? If no one takes that back?
Well,
Oh, government overfill. You know how many
we could
fucking
do a
bottles
whole
are on the road, dude?
we could do a whole segment on baseline budgeting one day, but
Dude, 10 cents. It's going up to 10-cent tax for a bottle.
it was already like what 15 cents in Michigan or something. So you're catching up. We don't do that here.
Dude, every 10 bottles is $1. Do you know how crazy that is? I don't know. Whatever. I don't. What are we talking about? I'm off the rails because this shit aggravates.
Ashley Babbitt.
Oh yeah, that's right. So let me get this straight. If I ask for the election back so super nicely, and I go down to the building that they let me in peacefully assembling, because every other time that there's like a pro Hamas or a pro Black Lives Matter, they're allowed, or a pro pussy rally, they're allowed to congregate in the Capitol building there. But you send a shaman down there with an American flag chest paint and a big hat, and so the girl that got shot and died, the guy that recorded the tyrants trying to hold on to power, gets 6 years in jail.
Yeah, that's right.
Gotcha. I'm really starting to like. What do you got after this?
I got the anti-Semitism monitors.
Oh, do that, and then we'll do Tucker Carlson, because he's my. I gotta talk to that guy. He's got to have me on the show. I'm being serious.
This comes courtesy of New York State. Thanks, Ryan. Representative Richie Torres, Democrat from New York, and Mike Lawler, Republican from New York, plan to introduce the Columbia Act, a bill that would create, quote, anti-Semitism monitors at select colleges.
Oh, just a couple of them.
Yeah, that's right. Select ones.
Anti-Sem. What does that even mean?
That's a great question, Ryan.
Did Ben Shapiro write this bill?
I'm sure Daily Wire funded some of it. It's bipartisan, Ryan. I love when they say that. Just like the bipartisan thing to me has always been annoying because it's like tyranny's not any better just because both parties voted for it.
Yeah, we both look. Don't be mad at Republicans for throwing away your freedom. We both voted for it.
Which trusted source is the best source, Ryan? There's
Just
Axios, USA Today. Which one's going to be the most trusted source?
I don't know. Go with the least most trusted so he gets ad revenue.
let's go here. Oh God, we got madness. The studio is not sacred. No studios are sacred.
Is that Shibu?
It's sheep.
Yo, buy crypto. Elon.
She's kind of dumb.
No, she is
Oh, yeah.
not. You take that back.
She's a little dumb.
She's not dumb.
She's just running all the numbers of the crypto exchange, David.
I'm gonna drop her off at Kristi Noem's house.
She's a good girl.
I'll drop her off, David. I'll stay. You know, I know it'll be really hard for you. I'll stay and make sure that in case she needs help. Clearly.
Yeah. I'm just gonna stay a couple weeks just to make sure that she's settling in comfortably there.
Yeah, like, why are you laying in bed with me?
Well, I thought the dog was in here.
Yeah, it's comfort.
I'm scared of thunderstorms. Lawmakers to propose anti-Semitism monitor for universities in a bipartisan bill. Let's see if in this article they can describe what the fuck that even means.
So I can't say I hate Jews. Like the most basic thing. So I can hate blacks, I can hate whites, I can hate Asians, I can hate Africans, I can hate aliens, I can hate fish, I can hate everything. I just can't hate the Jews. This guy, I fucking hate that guy.
I think you can do it. I think you can do it. We're just gonna monitor it. Oh, the nanoplastics are fresh today.
Damn Jews' fault. Fucking Mel Gibson was right, dude. Mel Gibson was right.
We should do a bipartisan counter. We got one in the headline, and we already got one in the first paragraph. A bipartisan bill is set to be introduced in Congress that will allow the Department of Education to set up. Okay, so it set up an anti-Semitism monitor at colleges and universities that receive federal funding. So the select colleges are all the ones that get federal funding. So
all of them.
All of them. The move comes
only select colleges that give federal. Funding from what source? The Department of Education. Don't all schools get funding from department? And if you think this is going to stop at colleges, also,
it's only colleges.
That's all. Yeah, I'm sure it's the only place that anti-Semitism runs rapid, David. We have to clamp down on all anti-Jew hating.
The move comes amid a wave of pro-Palestinian protests at colleges across the country, and sponsors of the legislation say an anti-Semitism monitor is needed to protect Jewish students from discrimination.
It's crazy, too, also, this anti-Semitism thing, because you can say all the anti-Semitite shit you want about Jesus, but I can't say anything bad about Jews. But you can talk shit about Jesus, who was literally a Jew.
Ryan, this is going to be real. This is going to be real bad for us, because we talk a lot of shit about Ben Shapiro.
You could just roast Jesus all day. He was like the Jew. He's the saving Jew. Fine about that.
He was like top Jew.
He was like literally 5-star Jew.
He was a Jew who worked with his hands. Very strange Jew.
A calloused Jew, David. Is that? I'm sorry.
School. We have to get the jokes in now.
A calloused Jew sounds like a bad swap meet of like Orthodox.
Schools would be
camels and really bad beards, patchy beards, and their bar mitzvah money.
Schools would be forced to comply with the monitor. Who would?
What are those little dowels they spin around on
dreidels?
Dreidels, that's the one.
There's a whole song about it, Ryan. They made it out of clay.
The cats in the cradles and the silver spoons.
No, that's not.
Tom Petty. Eric Clapton, that's the one. Sorry, Dave. Go. It's the Jews. Go to Jews.
No, that's Year of the Cat. Who would publish public reports of their findings or lose federal funding? Oh, so you give an option if you want to be, just lose your funding.
Well, you don't have to be you don't have to be pro-Jew, but if you're not.
We take all the money away. Why does everyone say the Jews control the money, I wonder?
Dude, where did all these kids learn how to put tents up?
It's a great question.
YouTube. The Jews, Dave, clearly.
Just all the kids
with
their phones out so they can figure out how to set up their tent at the protest.
Yeah,
it's
hilarious.
A sad world.
Yeah.
Representative Richie Torres issued.
What would you do if you opened a tent? What would you do if you open a tent to put it together and it has a QR code to scan with your phone for directions because they don't have it in the bag? Sorry. Just in the middle of the Adirondacks with no cell phone connection, trying to get my tent up. for my university
Um,
protest.
My office and I have spoken with countless Jewish students from campuses across America who feel deeply unsafe purely as a result of the religious and ethnic identity. This is blatant violation of Title VI, and the government cannot allow this to continue unchecked. The Columbia Act, or the College Oversight and Legal Updates Mandating Bias Investigations and Accountability Act. Holy fucking hell, they really stretched for that.
Are they calling it Columbine because that
No,
Columbia, because it's at the
no,
college?
yes, Columbia Act because Columbia is one of the universities where this. I think the the it was like the ground zero of this.
It was the concentration camp of.
It it's the Auschwitz of college. It would allow the Secretary of Education to appoint a monitor who would be tasked with evaluating in detail the progress that a college university has made toward combating anti-Semitism on campuses and issuing policy recommendations to Congress, the Secretary, and state and local regulators as needed. Holy fuck.
David, that was so twisted. The Osh.
Uh,
I'm crying, dude. That was bad.
Torres
Oh.
said he would co-sponsor the bill with Rep. Mike Lawler. Those were the two. Recent data shows incidents of both anti-Semitic discrimination and Islamophobic discrimination are up amid Israel-Hamas war. The Department of Education has launched several investigations into discrimination claims, both kinds, as U.S. schools, Reuters reported. So it's interesting. It doesn't seem like it's specifically toward defending Jewish people, or right? But like the same people who already can't discriminate at school, right? Like, isn't that a thing? Like, does this need to exist? They're just setting up extra oversight. Like, here's my thing. Here's what I'm gonna say. This isn't just for anti-Semitism. They're getting their foot in the door so they can have that guy on campus. And that guy who directly reports, you know what this is? This is portals to colleges.
Like the thought police, David. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, quite literally. I don't know. I don't trust it. I don't trust it, Ryan.
The Auschwitz line might be the funniest thing I've ever said in this program. The ground zeros, the 9/11 of anti-Semitism. It's portals to college campuses, which is portals to high schools, which is portals to middle schools, which is portals to elementary schools, which is portals to preschools, which is portal to homeschools. So I always heard it put that if the founding fathers were fighting the NSA spy grid, that they would have never made it to Philadelphia to start the revolution. So
Well, just imagine all the founders getting put in jail over the Boston Tea Party. I mean, that's like literally what the Jan 6 thing is. Not that it was the Boston Tea Party on the same scale, but
definitely was, David. When they openly stole an election and fucked with democracy.
Well, that's what it should have been. January 6th should have been at that level, but it wasn't. It was. I mean, let's be honest. It was fairly.
What do you
fucking
mean,
tame.
Dude? Ben Shapiro said it's the worst day since 9/11. Clearly, David.
Because he's a bitch.
Do you not know history, David? A boat crashing into a bridge is just normalized. Remember when they had freedom of speech zones? Yeah, me too. The Auschwitz of fucking. Dude, come on, dude. I couldn't.
You wanted to talk.
I couldn't even concentrate.
You wanted concentration. You wanted to talk about Tucker Carlson.
All right, so I made it through majority of the Rogan Tucker interview. I had to keep pausing because my mind kept getting blown away. Not because they're saying anything that, let's be honest here, that Dave and I haven't covered, but to hear such high prolific people such as Tucker Carlson, he basically said that he's done. He
Tucker
said
said he was dumb.
yeah, he's done. It's bullshit. The whole thing's
Oh,
illegitimate.
done. I thought you said
He's
dumb. I was like, that's Rogan's
no,
thing.
no. He's illegitimate. Like he pretty much said it like I've gone in the rants here and just said it freaking more extreme, I guess. But he said the thing, it's all illegitimate. It's been illegitimate for a long time. It's all contrived. It's the elites versus us. He said blow up the AI centers with nuclear missiles.
Well, that would be evil, wouldn't it, Tucker Carlson?
He calls out Ben Shapiro. He doesn't say him by name, but I sent Dave the clip, but the clip's out there about how he says, when you are very openly pushing a very particular foreign policy, for example, I told you guys that Ben Shapiro is imploding the space. Why do you think so? During election years, clearly coincidence, David. Clearly when they're ramping up all the pro-Jew stuff, David. Tucker said he's done. Not that I listen. I barely listened to Tucker Carlson. I caught him under Trump like everybody else when he got his rise, but he wasn't this golden calf. I haven't bought into mainstream or these personalities giving things other than Alex.
Well, you know what, though? You know why? Because Tucker himself said he didn't really wake up to any of this until
Trump got spied
what
on.
was it, Trump's wiretaps. And then he started looking at everything and saying, "Holy shit, it's all bullshit." So that's why recently he's become a thing. It's because he woke up. Not because we woke up to him, he woke up to us.
His whole thing on aliens was very interesting as well. I don't want to
I
get
thought so too.
It
Yeah,
was
the spiritual alien take is interesting.
very interesting. Supernatural was the way he was phrasing it, which I think is people get hung up in terms in religion. So, more than anything, that guy, Tucker Carlson, has talked to more people, read more books, is a bigger history dork, understands the world better than I do. He talks about growing up at the White House. You know what I mean? Like his dad had connections. He's very well
His
connected.
dad worked for like the FBI, CIA. Could be making that up.
Just hanging out in the Kennedy pool or whatever. Like this is like literally the guy. And he's like, it's bullshit. They're corrupt tyrants off of their leads. And we allow it. Which is why I said it only takes one person now. There's a bunch of people sitting at home right now that are just like, I'm just waiting for the guy that's sick of $7 bread like I am. Just waiting for that extra neighbor, that one guy locally to go down to the town hall room and say, you know what? We're just not doing it anymore.
Well, the phrase that you use frequently is people are not going to keep going to work.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to drive there because you can't afford it. Which is half the point of why we talked about this whole program and why I even got politically awake to begin with, because I understood that there would be a point that by the time you realize that the most of the people realize that it's too late, you're not even going to be in the position to pull the lever that you thought you had in your hand to begin with. It will be gone. You just feel a lever, but it's a phantom. There's nothing to pull. We don't even have free elections in the biggest democracy in human history. We have fucking plastic in our children when they're fetuses. Tell me again, these people don't know exactly what they're doing. You think that's by accident? I told you guys that forever chemicals are actually going to be the tie into climate change and how they'll be able to they'll measure every inch of the earth and say it's to get rid of forever chemicals when they're the one that put the forever chemicals in the fucking environment to begin with. They dropped nuclear missiles and then told people to walk through them. And then after their arms and legs were melting off their body, they're like, nah, I didn't know that was going to happen. Oh, yeah, just a big explosion. Go walk through there. You'll be fine. We just split the atom. No big deal.
What was the could be wrong about this, but like one of the initial tests in the United States at least was in like New Mexico or
Yeah,
something.
it's when you watch Oppenheimer, they show you that, and that range that was picked out was Oppenheimer's. He had like family ties to that place. That's why he picked it there.
If I'm not mistaken, there were small towns
They built whole
within
towns there, whole towns, homeschooled the kids, all the Jew children, all of them.
there. It was within like 100 miles of the test site, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was right there. None of them could leave. I mean, Oppenheimer is a dramatization of the actual event, but that film, I mean, I wasn't alive, obviously, but
Sure.
once again, I barely understand the history, but that film does like a pretty good job of on making you understand what they were actually doing. But yeah, these people know the fucking military's involved. You don't think the military knew about microplastics? Are you out of your mind? They have lasers from space that mimic dragon's breath. They call it dragon's breath. I'm not waiting for Tucker Carlson. I didn't bring up Tucker Carlson and Joe Rogan to like be like, oh my God, look, it's time, guys. But dude, like, what more do you say when the guy that you go to get the questions about all the shit is like, yeah, it's fucking illegitimate, dude. What do you do then? We all go to work tomorrow? I'm supposed to go to work tomorrow. There's microplastics in fetuses. Just buy different clothes, Dave. No worries. Just buy the $100 t-shirt, Dave. No worries.
Just buy the
Don't worry,
cow.
your money's not
Few
backed up
thousand.
by anything.
Few $1,000s, Ryan. Just buy the whole cow.
Yeah, don't worry about your money not being backed up by anything like gold or something that would limit the amount of printing that you could do. Instead, we'll just print off $40 billion that we don't have to go fund World War III. But we don't tell you we're in World War III. We're just funding Taiwan, Ukraine, and Israel.
And the Palestinians.
Well, we're only giving Palestinians aid, Dave, because they're getting attacked by Israel. So,
And,
we're just...
and all of NATO.
Oh, it's Russia's fault that they're upset that NATO's been encroaching on their border since the mid-90s. Tucker Carlson talked about that on Joe Rogan, too, and how there's this black socialist nationalist that's literally going to jail for the rest of his life because he questioned the government. They didn't charge him with anything. Remember what I always tell you guys, I'll just not be here one day. You're not that special, Ryan. Dave, we're not that special. Neither was this guy. He might be a guy that represents 50 people in the entire continent of the United States of America. We have more probably followers on our Facebook page than that guy has followers in his actual community group. I'm supposed to think that I shouldn't have to worry about something. Tucker said it. They'll just put kiddie porn on your computer. And you know what? It technically will be yours, right, David?
It's on your property.
It's yours. Oh, it was uploaded on this date, but the date is actually just made up because they can implant the date. I'll never kill myself or my family or anything. Fuck these people. Tucker Carlson told you. Go listen. I don't even care. It's not even left or right-wing politics. It's not even any of that. There's a reason why all these books call the corrupt people the party. Orwell referred to it as the party. V for Vendetta, the party, the system. It's crazy we're all getting to like the point now that we all know that's all contrived and we're all stuck. Once again, I wonder how many of us are just going to keep going to buy 2 for $7 loaves of bread when I used to get 3 loaves for $7. My milk used to be $2, it's now $4. My gas used to be $2, it's now $5. And
The problem is
I put down $30 at the raise, Dave. I asked for $30 more an hour. They didn't give it to me. I thought you just asked for more money, Dave. They'll just raise my wages if stuff's more expensive, like minimum wage. I can't afford to live on $30 an hour. I'll just ask for $30 more, David. I'll just ask for my minimum wage, my standard of living increase, David. That is practical. to the cost of living, right, Dave? That's good. That's all we have to do, right? All of us, that's all we got to do. So those rich people will pay for it. They're about to put capital gains tax at 44% for those very rich people. You think that very rich guy that makes $1 million a year is going to be willing to give you a little bit extra money to do the same job he's paying you $15 an hour before?
Well,
I wonder why all those
very
companies are rushing to fucking do AI, David. I can't get somebody to make my cheeseburger at McDonald's correctly. I wonder why McDonald's is investing billions of dollars in Google's AI technology to hold up the stock market so that we don't say that the economy fell out. Once again, I came on the program months ago at this point, said that there's only 3 companies holding up the whole S&P 500 right now. That's how they can say the economy's doing well. It's Microsoft, it's fucking Facebook, and it's Google. Or Apple, rather. No Microsoft, it was Apple. That's holding up the economy's fine. Well, based on this metric, they make up fucking 52% of the stock market. I don't know. I don't know what to do, but the people you go to, like Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, they're saying the same stuff we are, David. Those are the guys that can afford $100 loaves of bread, and they're still like, this is fucked up. Shit's all crazy. Everything's expensive. Am I wrong, Dave? Am I not reading that podcast correctly? I know I listened to a lot of stuff.
here's the problem. Here's the problem. The problem is the elites. This is all going to make sense. The elites want you at home struggling to buy your $7 bread, who are outraged, and rightfully so, at the current system, to feel like you're a minority. The problem is there's this new wave of social media where people like us can have a following, and they see that they're not alone. So why do people like us get censored on media? It's because they want the people to feel at home, like a minority, like they're alone, like their vote does count, but oh man, you just missed it.
Oh, more people just outvoted you.
Oh,
You
must just be the minority. Sorry,
that got to be the minority. We don't want you looking at the electoral college map, David, and make you think people don't vote area. Yeah, because if you see on a map how broad the ideology is, it may change your mind. We're all herd-minded things. Yeah, Tucker said it too, and then we'll get out of here. Dave, I'll save a story for next week, so remind me. But Tucker said it too on that podcast. He said they only go after you if you're a threat and if you're right. So, bring it on. Bring it on. I told you guys.
We're not threats. We just want to peacefully ask for our rights.
Yeah. And I told you guys this, and I'll say the same shit. I don't care if I'm in Gitmo or not. There is no jury of my peers. I'm made in the image of a creator, of a spiritual being that isn't even it's not even in this realm. There's no jury of my peers. There's no one like me. I'm one of a kind, just like everybody else is one of a kind. There is no there is no court that can hold me. I don't care what the Constitution. There is no court. I'm a spiritual person in a physical body having a real life experience. You can't tell me. You don't get to dictate that. You don't get to decide that. There's microplastics in the water. Fecal matter has microplastics. You don't get to tell me. A court doesn't get to decide anymore. There's no more. I'm not being a tough guy. I don't care. Arrest us. I don't care. There's microplastics. They spray chemicals in the air to make the clouds shiny. They're collapsing the genome. There will be no men. Don't eat eggs, but if you look at pictures of when everybody ate 2 eggs a day, they were all healthy and fit. And literally stopped Hitler. That generation stopped Hitler. What do we do? What are we even talking about? There is no court. They don't get to decide if I'm right or not. They have sold the country out. Every judge, every local, I'll tell this to the mayor of Depew. I don't care. You don't have authority over me. The police do not have authority over us. They're illegitimate. The thing's illegitimate. The people they serve are corrupt. They made millions of dollars during COVID. They pushed a lie by Chinese propaganda. What more do we have to say? It's not conspiracy theorists. I don't need the internet to verify this when I called World War III from my couch with my best friend. And then I see funding for it 3 years later. I have a high school education. There is no court to hold me. There is no jail. So you can put me in a jail cell. You can depress me. You can put me on antibiotics and SSRIs. It doesn't matter. You don't get to decide that. You can drug me up. You can do whatever. You would drag me wherever. You can torture my family. There's nothing. You don't get to decide. When I go to the other side, I know that I'm okay. I'll go to Mars or whatever the fucking alien people believe in. I'll level up because of my spirituality. It's over 9,000. But I mean that. There is nothing that you are not going to hold me to the planes of man when I know that I am a spirit. I have a fucking soul. We can measure souls in our body. Wonder why they want more microplastic in me. So I don't feel connected, right? If they're individual cells, David, they're attacking you at the individual level. We're made of billions of cells. That means they're waging billions of wars in your body every day. But I'm the one that has to listen to a judge that I'm bad for the government, or that I have to have my car inspected. Who are you talking to? The people that gave you the world, the people that gave you civil liberties, the people that gave you the things that we have for granted, the people that built the world, they were not asking. I'm not asking for rights back that are supposed to be guaranteed by the creator of the universe. It's not even the government. The people that are in government agreed to the saying as well. Unless they don't believe it, David, but they said, so help me God. They don't get to decide over that anymore. They don't get to decide anymore. They're the ones that allowed microplastics and World War III to transpire during an election year when they stole an election so that they could fuck this country over so much that the middle class American was so devalued that they thought that we could just roll over for the tyranny for the next 10 years. I will go down to Washington, D.C., and I will talk to Joe Biden if I have to. Dave Ryan, December 1773. Catch us wherever. I'll be on a street corner soon. On Rumble for the weekly show. As always, David, I appreciate you most for your time, as well as everybody else, and I will see you guys later. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Next week, remind me about the TS story. Tom Subject.
TS. We'll do.
I got to tell the TS story. It's a coming of age story that took me many years to realize, many years after it was over. But it showed me how lucky and blessed I am, but also how even a dumb kid that was rambunctious and rebellious, if you try hard enough and fall forward enough, you get lucky. So, as always, Dave, I was lucky to run into you in the very environment that I'm describing. So I'm forever eternally grateful for you for that. But yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Thank you, and I'll see you guys later.
Thanks, everyone. Rumble, X, YouTube, Facebook, but mostly Rumble.
Probably Rumble. And the street corner outside your local Walmart. Dave and I will be there.
And Kristi Noem's bed. Thanks, everyone.
God, shoot my dog, baby.